Okay, so as I was trying to set up for this reading, everything was going wrong. I dropped the whole deck of cards down the side of the chair here. The camera fell down. So this is like my third time hitting record, and I'm gonna try to not get anyone in the background here, but I'm gonna be doing a little bit of shopping for others after this. So I figured while I wait for it just felt like the right time to do a channel because no batch was coming in, and I got a front row parking spot. I like to call it rockstar parking. Anyways, so the whole deck fell, and I used to get frustrated at little things like that. Now I just laugh about it. But as I'm reaching down, I'm like trying to grab them and like, oh my God, I can't reach them. And then I heard, these are your cards, hit record. So here we are. I'm gonna have you with me as I struggle to pull your cards that are meant for this message out from the side of between my chair and my center console. Oh my gosh. Okay. King of Pentacles, Six of Swords, which is like they're moving away. It's like a woman and child here. They're moving away with some swords, you know, with some learned lessons, but they're taking a journey. They're into fresh new waters. There's a home. So maybe there's a home coming in. Oh, God, thank you. If you've been asking for a miracle in the shape of some type of home, or maybe an environment that feels more like home, if it's not a physical relocation. And how does this happen? The Empress. These are just the cards that had fallen. So the Empress, by you in your Empress energy. This card, and I don't read reversals because I'm not a traditional tarot reader. If this is your first time here, hi, I'm Joy. We keep it real. I'm here to have some fun and to bring some joy to the world. So, but I was raised very religious, so if I interpret the cards differently than you're traditionally used to, that's okay. Stick for it. If it vibes with you, leave. If it doesn't, that's okay. If you are vibing, please subscribe to the channel and share it with someone who could take a message from this, if you feel called to. So this Five of Swords came up in the reverse. And like I said, I normally don't read reversals, but it's interesting because the first card or the second card that came out was the Six of Swords. And that felt more of a present energy than this. This feels more like a past energy. And the Five of Swords, you know, he's over here collecting. He almost has a devious look on his face. Let me turn it right side up so you can see that. It's like, I'm getting these swords. They don't even realize it. And it's in the reverse. So that's behind you. That's in the past. Doesn't matter. You know, as you grow, people are going to be cut away from your life or your experience, not in a bad way, just because maybe, you know, you guys are moving in different directions. Look at the three of them. So he's still here. Excuse my middle finger. He's still here collecting the swords, right? And the other two, they're going in different directions. And they're like, forget the swords. You can have the swords, man. I'm over here. We don't know what he's going to or what he's going to, but it's worth more to them than the conflict, right? And this one's like, well, I might need 5 swords because conflict is normal in my life. So this is a message about what are we normalizing and expecting in our life. And this is going to connect to the message I did yesterday, in regards to our expectations, our assumptions of others, right? That's how we manifest our interactions with people. If we expect the worst, you're probably going to get the worst, right? So he's bracing himself. He's devious, like, ha, I got the swords from them. Okay, but that's because they're not expecting conflict where they're moving to. So they're leaving behind those old ways of doing things, which is living in that constant fight or flight state, right? So this is in the reverse. This is in your past. You're leaving behind that fight or flight way of living, that living from scarcity or survival mode, where the sympathetic nervous system is engaged, you know, all the time, because we go from constant stimulation in the media and just constant noise. Like, how often do you just sit in silence? And I know as a parent, it's like, really? Never. Not since I became a parent. I know, I get it, okay? You have to create the silence, and that starts with putting up safe, comfortable or uncomfortable for them boundaries with your kids. But when you are more regulated and you allow yourself to take some time in silence, then you realize you don't have to live in that state of survival. You can flip this card around, put it in your past, okay, and walk in a different direction. Okay, that's the message for that. Oh my gosh, and also in the reverse was the Ten of Wands. So you're putting this burden down. This is in your past. Now, I know reversals can be interpreted different ways. I'm feeling this energy as if this is just a confirmation of this. You're choosing to walk away from gathering swords all the time, or carrying around wands, carrying burdens of just limitations you're putting on yourself. Oh, I can't do this because of this. Well, is that true? Well, if someone else might view it differently and someone else could be successful doing that, then so can you. So maybe don't be afraid to put down that heavy weight, those limiting beliefs, that old way of living. And then what happens? The sun, the tower is right underneath it though. So, interesting. What I just heard was not all that glitters is gold. That from Ponyboy from The Outsiders? Not all that glitters is gold? Or is that from something different? Please let me know in the comments. But the sun is arriving on a white steed, right? Like a ray of sunshine. That's how you're gonna feel. Oh, I was just talking to my daughter about this earlier. We were talking about the pendulum swing of life and of the universe. So things are a little bit rough for my family right now. If you're not familiar with my situation, and I haven't shared too much, I will as it comes up and as I feel that I have a story to share that relates to the message that I'm talking about. So I went through a divorce. We sold the house. We are currently we are currently open to receiving the right accommodations for us for the next chapter of our life. And I am very intentional with how I choose to speak about my life. And I was talking to my daughter, she's 13, about the pendulum swing. So although when things seem really rough, it's the pendulum about to swing the other way. And the way God tests us, I used to hate hearing that growing up, because that's not the benevolent God that I believe loves and has created all things, right? So the God of my understanding doesn't throw constant tests at us. Well, that's the energy of the devil, right? That's the energy of the tower. It's the pendulum swing. Everything in this universe is balanced. Everything has cause and effect. And when a pendulum swings one way, it is going to swing the other way, because everything in existence is in a constant state of flux and flow and motion. Okay, so just like the balance of the masculine and feminine, the polarization of positive and negative, it's one side of a battery isn't bad, right? It's just polarization. That's how all of existence occurs. So the sun is here, the sun is coming. Just put down that weight, put down that burden, the limiting beliefs that have been stopping you from either going for the promotion, talking to that person, having a breakthrough moment with your kid, maybe trying a new way of parenting, trying a new way of eating, trying a new way of just moving in your body. So whatever situation you want to apply this to, let go of the limiting beliefs that have stopped you from up-leveling to your better self. There's a version of you, because everything happens in fractals, right? Everything in existence is just a fractal of another on a bigger or smaller scale, right? So just like humans are all humans, we have variations of genes. We're all fractals of, human, Homo sapien. There we go. So the tower, right, it was just here. Like it didn't come out up front. It was just peeking out behind the sun. Like, hey, I'm here. I'm still here. So you can expect that. But knowing that when you let go of your limiting beliefs and you step into your authenticity and showing up in this world and going for it, right? Letting go of an old way of doing things, trying something new, being true to yourself, having conversations with others around you, or taking chances that you normally wouldn't take. Well, the person you've been up until this point maybe wouldn't take that chance, but you always have a choice to do something differently. So apply it to your situation as it resonates. And just know, there might be towers, there might be polarization, okay? There's going to be, but it's how we respond to it. How I respond as a parent, right? How you respond when your boss is being like an a-hole at work, or, you know, something feels unfair or unjust to you. How do you respond to these tower moments throughout life? Because it's just a swing of the pendulum. And those that get ahead, right, those that grow, those that evolve and don't have to keep repeating the same learning cycles, because we're always learning. Anyone that thinks they're done learning is ignorant. You can always learn. You can always grow in some capacity, right? And this is how. You don't get better without challenges. Like, look at any athlete. You got to push yourself. You got to find the limit and then push past it. Whether it's your personal limit or, you know, the Olympics, the limits of human possibility. It's amazing that what you see these athletes doing, right? So recognize when you're in the pendulum swing, when you're in the tower moment. Just, okay, this is a tower. I can take a breath. I can walk down the stairs of the tower and get out before, you know, lightning strikes and I got to jump from the window. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to, you don't have to assume that every pendulum swing is the end of the world or everything's crumbling. When you maintain that calm within yourself and you recognize that, okay, the sun is on the other side of this pendulum swing, then you can really step into that energy. What a beautiful reading. Something I have to add here that has been jumping out to me. I have this book in my house, Aesop's Fables, that I heard a lot as a kid, and something told me to bring this book and just, there. Okay. I stopped at The Man and the Image and Hercules and the Wagoner. So I'm going to read both. Number 154 might be significant. The Man and the Image. A poor man had a wooden image of a god, to which he used to pray daily for riches. He did this for a long time, but remained as poor as ever, till one day he caught up the image in disgust and hurled it with all his strength against the wall. The force of the blow split open the head, and a quantity of gold coins fell out upon the floor. The man gathered them up greedily and said, "Oh, you old fraud, you! When I honored you, you did me no good whatever. But no sooner do I treat you to insults and violence than you make a rich man of me." Interesting. Well, you can interpret this many different ways. What I'm seeing here or hearing here, it's only a few coins. And he spent all that time praying to this statue and then in the end settling for simple gold coins rather than using that time to go out and actually create his own abundance. Let me know what your interpretation of that fable is in the comments. Number 155, Hercules and the Wagoner. A wagoner was driving his team along a muddy lane with a full load behind them, when the wheels of his wagon sank so deep in the mire that no efforts of his horses could move them. As he stood there looking helplessly on and calling loudly at intervals upon Hercules for assistance, the god himself appeared and said to him, "Put your shoulder to the wheel, man, and goad on your horses, and then you may call on Hercules to assist you. If you won't lift a finger to help yourself, you can't expect Hercules or anyone else to come to your aid. Heaven helps those who help themselves." Wow. That's literally what I just said for the other for the other fable. I tell my daughter that all the time. You got to take the action. You know, don't ignore the blessing of having the opportunity to take action. If you ignore the opportunity, it's just as much as ignoring, you know, a gift that appears out of nowhere. Your gift is your ability, your opportunity, your able-bodiedness, you know. A message just came through, but I think that's a personal message for me, so I'm not going to share it out loud. Sorry, guys. Not everything is meant to be shared on social media. Thank you, Spirit, though. I needed to hear that. Let me know if this resonated or the cards that we pulled. That was super fun. You know, when you start to see messages, the universe will speak to you more and more through symbology, right? Through people, through things that you hear, through imagery, through certain words that just jump out at you, whether that's on a truck or a store that you're passing. So that's your intuition speaking to you. That's spirit. That's God speaking to you. And it's up to each of us to tune in and follow those signs rather than continuing to gather swords and carry heavy wands. That's not what God intended for us. But if you ignore the signs that He's sending you, you're going to continue to prepare for battle and break your back carrying heavy burdens that you don't need to. So I hope this resonated with you. If so, let me know, share it with a friend, and peace out, world.